Fellas, what I'm about to share with you won't make sense at first. Believe me, it didn't make sense to me either. From the moment this build was submitted from Loco going into one of our build battles, I was skeptical. But as soon as we started using this build, it became very apparent that this build actually stands above all the others. You will be melting literally everything in the game. Champions to mini bosses to high health targets. I'm literally running these activities at extreme deltas, putting this build to the test, and it still easily cuts through everything. And originally I thought maybe this build was just strong because it's Solstice and we were leaning into those Solstice mods. But guys, we use this build even with the modifiers off. And unless Bungie comes out and directly nerfs this thing, you're looking at one of the strongest builds in the game. It's simple, but it puts out some insane damage. It requires the reworked Actium War Rig, a machine gun that all of us overlooked called Unwavering Duty, and with the proper stat distributions, you'll be melting literally everything in the game. So let's begin this build video by first covering the weapon of choice, Unwavering Duty. Now I do want to mention that this machine gun is only earned in Trials of Osiris, which I know sucks, and I got PvE players right now literally closing the YouTube video. You gotta hear me out, guys. This weapon is strong enough that it is worth the pain of Trials. And no, you cannot pull this off with other machine guns. Not like this one. Now, originally, when we were first looking to review this machine gun, I saw Incandescent and Burning Ambition in separate columns, and I thought, hey, that's the roll. That's what we want. We'll talk about some of the other perk combinations, but that's a clear-cut review. It's gonna be a Scorched King. But what we didn't take into account was the curveball that Bungie threw us, and that was the addition of volatile mods. Now, we've talked about these mods in previous weapon reviews. Essentially, though, volatile mods can only be slotted on the new Edge of Fate weapons, and similar to our artifact mods, they will be deprecated at the end of a season. So essentially, once Renegades launches. Now, all of these mods are pretty good, but the most powerful of these volatile mods is Temporal Blast. This causes an AoE explosion on a target after dealing a set amount of damage. So essentially, the more damage you deal, the more often this explosion will proc, which is a very strong explosion. But what we found out this week changed everything. Not only does this explosion charge faster when you deal more damage, the explosion damage from Temporal Blast will scale based on the damage of the weapon. So if you increase your weapon damage, then the damage dealt by Temporal Blast will also increase, which is where Unwavering Duty comes into play. Now, this weapon not only has the ability to roll Incandescent and Burning Ambition together, it also has the ability to double up on damage perks. And for this particular build, we have so many different routes you can go with. You could do Rampage and Kill and Tally and double up those damage perks together. You could speed it up and do Rampage and Onslaught. And I know you may be looking at some of the other damage perks present on this weapon, maybe bait and switch, perhaps even blowing your load with Cascade points. And I'm not saying that those perks aren't good, but the way you should be looking at Unwavering Duty in this build is the ability to literally melt everything with ease in a single activity. I'm talking anything at GM level, even at the highest deltas, it will wreck. Dare I say you can even go into Mythic Kepler and not necessarily wreck everything in Mythic Kepler, but you'll be able to hold your own. So really what it comes down to is boosting your mag size up. I like things like Extended Mag. You can even go at Pendant Mag and combine that with Rampage in that third column. And then in our fourth column, you have to choose between either Kill and Tally or Onslaught. Now, Kill and Tally is perfect because it essentially allows you to stack a damage buff up to 3 times, capping out at 30%, and you don't lose that buff unless you stow the weapon. And to be quite honest with you, you're never going to stow this machine gun. Not with the amount of ammo we're producing and with us using Actium War Rig. But then you have Onslaught, where final blows of the weapon increases its rate of fire, stacking up to 3 times. And this is a 450 round per minute machine gun, and Onslaught turns it into an absolute bullet hose. Granted, I completely understand what some people say about Onslaught. You go through a lot of ammo with it, but keep in mind, guys, you're going to be producing so much ammo with this build, it's fine. Blow your load. Now, in terms of DPS, Kill and Tally, just comparing directly here to Onslaught, Kill and Tally sits around 380 DPS. Onslaught puts us at about 460 to 470 DPS. So Onslaught objectively deals more damage in a shorter window of time. Granted, I completely understand why people do like Kill and Tally due to that ease of use of maintaining that damage buff. But really the question we need to answer is which one of those perks works best with Temporal Blast. First though, let's touch on Actium War Rig. Actium War Rig received a major buff at the launch of Edge of Fate. It comes with the exotic perk Auto-Loading Link, which reads that it steadily reloads a portion of your equipped auto rifle or machine gun's magazine from reserves. Final blows with auto rifles or machine guns boost boosts their stability, ammo generation, and damage, provides a moderate benefit to their airborne effectiveness. Now, this is an exotic that has always been decent and pretty much the go-to exotic when we want to auto-load our auto rifles or machine guns. But after this update, it really has become an S-tier exotic. Not only is it refilling your weapon from reserves, each kill is also going to grant us a stack of auto-loading link, up to a max of 10 stacks, giving us around a 16% increase in damage at max stacks. But here's the big kicker. It also increases our ammo generation per stack. So the more you slay with Actium War Rig, the more ammo you can generate for yourself. Now, to fully round out this build, we thought to ourselves, what is the best weapon to pair with this? Now, I believe the obvious choice is Tommy's Matchbook, and for so many reasons. Number one, it's a solo weapon, which synergizes beautifully with our artifact mods. Number two, it can stun overloads with our artifact mods, but it can also ignite, so it can stun unstoppable champions. But then we have the rework to Tommy itself. You see, previously, when proccing Ignition Trigger, yes, you could scorch and ignite enemies, but the moment you stop firing, you would lose that buff. But Bungie added a meter system to Tommy, where as long as you have some charge left, Ignition Trigger will remain active. On top of that change, hip fire self-damage has also been decreased, and with the catalyst, each final blow with the Ignition Trigger is going to grant you cure ×1 to the user, which is massive for survivability. Now, to be quite honest with you guys, with this build, you're probably never going to use Tommy. As good as that may sound, Tommy's just there for the off occasion you may run out of heavy ammo. The other weapon we have is Mint Retrograde, and we literally just keep that to deal with barrier champions. And I know everybody is crazy about Mint, but even when doing DPS side-by-side comparisons between Mint and our amped up Unwavering Duty with Temporal Blast, Unwavering Duty beats Mint, and on top of that, it has the ability to sustain. That's the big thing, which brings us to how this build is all working. First up, we need to mention how we're using our subclass. We're rocking Sunbreaker for this, with our first aspect being Soul Invictus. This allows our solar ability final blows like Hammer of Soul Impacts and defeating scorched targets to create sunspots. Now, our abilities are also going to regenerate faster, and our super will drain more slowly while standing in a sunspot. Additionally, sunspots will also apply scorch and deal damage to targets inside. We also have Consecration for the occasional Consecration Slam to stun an unstoppable champion. We're rocking our Throwing Hammer, and the only other thing that I really want you to consider is Healing Grenade. The Healing Grenade is really nice to get the restoration chain rolling. You see, you're going to be healing throughout this entire process. Now, the main purpose of this build is really just to use the machine gun. Use Unwavering Duty at all times. Rarely are you really dipping into your abilities. Matter of fact, I normally went into every encounter, throwing my grenade down, starting restoration, and then just start blowing my load everywhere. Now, in terms of fragments, we have Ember of Tempering, where solar weapon final blows grant you and your allies increased health for a short duration, which stacks to 3 times. Now, the other big benefit is that while Ember of Tempering is active, your solar weapon final blows create fire sprites. Then we have Ember of Mercy, which is going to grant us and nearby allies restoration when reviving an ally, and when we pick up a fire sprite, this will also grant us restoration. Now, fire sprites are pretty nice because it just tops off our grenade, which again goes back into our healing grenade. Next, we have Ember of Empyrean, where solar weapon or ability final blows extends the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. Now, this can go to a max of 15 seconds, and this is literally how I'm able to sit out here in the open and do damage for as long as I want. I have restoration feeding back into myself. We also have Ember of Solace, which extends the duration of radiant and restoration effects applied to us, and then Ember of Ashes, which increases the number of scorch stacks you apply to targets. Now, let's talk stats, armor, and mods. Now, let me just say, this is not make or break, but I do highly recommend the Solstice armor set. This lustrous set, especially the 4-piece set, allows you to stay alive in those harder deltas. You've got Cauterize, which reads that rapid solar final blows heals you. Now, this is going to grant you 35 HP upon scoring 3 solar final blows, which I know isn't a crazy amount, but it's just free healing on top of the restoration you're already getting with this kit. This is a very good armor set specifically for this build, but also for many other solo builds. As for other mods, I like to rock 2 heavy ammo finder mods for my Unwavering Duty. For my gauntlets, I throw on like a heavy-handed just in case, just so I can create an orb of power every now and then. We also have Impact Induction and 1 harmonic loader just in case we need to reload. This, of course, benefits both Tommy and Unwavering. For our chest mod, we have 1 charged up mod to increase the number of armor armor charger stacks that we can hold, and 2 solar ammo generation mods, which I know may be a bit shocking, us not rocking resist mods, but you'll be good. Now for our boots, we full send it here, fellas. 3 solar surge mods, and this will be increasing our damage by 22%. Then finally for our class item, we've got 2 time dilation mods and 1 powerful attraction mod. Now in terms of your stats, you want to get to 200 on your weapon stats. The reason why is not only for the increase in damage against minor and major combatants, as well as bosses, but the ammo bricks from defeated targets have a chance to contain additional rounds, which is a 100% chance at 200 weapon stats. Now another great thing about this is that a high weapon stats will scale the damage of your temporal blast mod. Now personally, I don't have 200 weapon stats with the lustrous sets, and that's actually what I'm farming for right now. I get that last little piece and we're cooking, fellas. 200 weapon stats, and then I just put whatever I can in grenade so I can get my healing grenade back as much as possible. Outside of those 2 stats, I would probably put the rest in health. This will increase the amount of health you gain every time you pick up an orb of power, and over 100, your shields recharge more quickly. Again though, 200 weapon stats and the high grenade, in my opinion, is the more important thing here. Now this takes us to our artifact mods. First we have Fever and Chill, which reads that rapid precision hits with solar weapons grant radiance. Rapid precision hits with stasis weapons grant frost armor. And the activation for this is about 25% of your mag plus 1 additional shot. So with the base mag on Unwavering Duty, this will take 16 shots to proc. But here's the beautiful thing. Something the artifact mod doesn't state is that you can proc radiant from just 3 rapid kills, which is even easier than landing the 16 shots. Next we have Radiant Shrapnel. We're dealing sustained weapon damage while radiant or defeating scorched combatants with a weapon causes the target to release solar projectiles that deal damage and scorch on impact. Both of these artifact mods literally loop back into each other. We also have Element of Coalescence, where defeating targets has a chance to create an element of pickup matching your equipped super elements. Now this is on top of Ember Tempering, which should also be giving us plenty of fire sprites. Then finally we have Elemental Overdrive. We're picking up an element of pickup or Tangle grants increased damage to weapons of that same element. Now this is going to give our solar weapons here a consistent 10% increase in damage, which lasts for 7 seconds. And again, spawning in fire sprites is not a problem. Now we've touched on everything that this build involves. Now let's break down the numbers. Now we mentioned Temporal Blast earlier in the video. We tested against Knights on our sexy tier 5 Unwavering Duty. Sorry fellas, I had to flex it. But we see a damage value at base of 1,212. Now when we stack all of our buffs, that being Rampage times 3, Onslaught times 3, Actium War Rig times 10, Elemental Overdrive, Radiant, 3 Weapon Surge, we get a damage number that goes up to 1,952, which is a 61% increase. Now, of course, this damage value goes higher. That's just Onslaught, which increases our rate of fire. If you were to do Kill and Tally and Rampage, plus all of these things, this is actually a 109% increase in damage at 2,538. But keep in mind, Onslaught not only puts out more DPS, but it seems to just be better for Temporal Blasts. Now, I'm gonna give you a snapshot of its ability to do damage to bosses, but keep in mind, this is not really meant to go into a raid and shred a boss. You can do that, but really where it shines is when there's multiple targets on the battlefield and you're jumping from target to target, picking up those stacks, and then you blow your load into the biggest guy in the battlefield. Now, if we were to use a Thunderlord, fully ramped up, plus 3 Arc Surges, plus 195 weapon stats, plus Radiant Shrapnel, we're clocking in at approximately 2,100 DPS. Meanwhile, a Rampage times 3 with Kill and Tally times 3, same weapon stats, same everything, with Temporal Blast though, is hovering at around 3,000 DPS. And get this, the Temporal Blast spikes actually can kick our DPS up to 4,000. But the real question is what's actually better, Kill and Tally or Onslaught? When breaking these down side by side, it takes roughly 0.93 seconds to proc a Temporal Blast from Kill and Tally. And then for Onslaught times 3, it takes 0.75 seconds to proc that Temporal Blast. But here's the kicker, the Temporal Blast from Kill and Tally does more damage. Just Kill and Tally by itself is 1,129 here at our testing, and for Onslaught, again, no Rampage included on either one of these, is 869. Now, when we break down the DPS, if we were just taking into account the Temporal Blast DPS, Onslaught is just slightly behind that of Kill and Tally. But then we also have to take into account the damage of the machine gun itself. And let me just say, guys, Onslaught in that category overtakes Kill and Tally. In my opinion, guys, the tier 5 God roll is literally both of these. And the problem is I don't have a Rampage Kill kill and tally roll yet. We've played with it just for a little bit on Loco's account, but I need that combination to get a one-to-one comparison between Rampage and Onslaught. What I can tell you is that Rampage and Onslaught, absolutely disgusting, melts literally every bit of content that I've gone into. But kill and tally might even be better. And it's definitely better in terms of total damage. At the same time, I can't help but sit down and wonder, what if? What if in the final raid encounter of Desert Perpetual, utilizing 4 times the charm with kill and tally is actually meta? There's no ads to kill around in that area. We know Thunderlord is very good. Hell, perhaps 4 times the charm and bait and switch. And hell, I even want to give Burning Ambition a go, considering just how good Burning Ambition is on the Solstice SMG, which we also utilize Temporal Blast with. Now, if you're hunting a God roll right now, you can't go wrong with the mag boosting perk, Rampage, and that third trait column combined with Onslaught, kill and tally. I can tell you right now, that's a fantastic combination. Either one of those. And really, it's going to be my job over these next few days to grind up as many Unwavering Duties, preferably tier 5s, and then we're going to actually take these into multiple different encounters around Destiny to get a full picture. What I will say is that kill and tally is much easier to hang on to those stacks of damage with, and I really do want to see a situation where maybe that 4 times the charm kill and tally roll absolutely melts with Temporal Blast against the final boss. Don't worry, guys, we'll update you as soon as we get these rolls. But for the time being, what I can tell you is that this is by far the deadliest build I have used this season. Simply throw down your grenade, start that restoration, and blast everything to death with your Unwavering Duty, proc those Actium War Rig stacks, and if you happen to run out of ammo, then swap to Tommy. But with the ammo generation you're going to be having, especially if you're sitting at 200 weapon stats, you're good, man. You'll have plenty of ammo. If any of you have tried out this combination, feel free to let us know your findings in the comments below. And if you're interested in participating in build battles, feel free to come by our stream. We are literally taking builds every single day, putting them against each other, and figuring out which builds are in fact the best. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.